So rather than me run out and buy £100 of like product to put on my skin, I can fortify my skin from within by eating things like shellfish and mushrooms. Foods that are rich in vitamin A tend to be red, orange, yellow, like bell peppers, butternut squash, pumpkin. They're really rich in vitamin A, which is fantastic for skin cell renewal.
Hey everybody, it's Amadeus here, and today I'm sitting with a very, very special guest. Taught me a lot, going behind the scenes and everything. Lori B. Lori, we first met at Mahina Makeup event where you was actually doing like a guest speaking. But I know you understand you are an educational. How would you describe? Sorry.
I'm a lecturer, so I'm a lecturer of health, so lecturing in further education and higher education.
Okay. How did you actually get into the health education industry?
Whoa, okay, well it's been nearly 20 years since I've been lecturing.
Wow.
So last month was 18 and a half years that I've been lecturing, thank you. And I actually started out as an early years teacher, so I've been teaching in early years from, my goodness.
Can I just, early years is like the equivalent to like American, like kindergarten, just so you know. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So I was teaching the younger children, young children from, say, around 93 up until 99. And I found that the quality of the students that were coming in to train to become teachers or to become nursery nurses, kindergarten assistants, they actually didn't seem to have a clue. So rather than moaning, I'm very much into solving the problem rather than moaning about the problem. So I decided that I wanted to be more involved in the process of preparing these students for employment in education.
Yes.
So meanwhile, I was doing my a degree, and I decided that I was, instead of using the degree more for the young children, I was going to use it more for the practitioners that would be working with them.
Wow, this is amazing. All right, so I have my set of questions. I'm going to throw it out the window because, all right, so early years, so I don't know how the Ofsted registration went back in the day. So what level of a practitioner are you today?
Okay, my goodness, I'm at level 6 now in qualification-wise.
So level 6 qualified practitioner. And so when you was teaching early years, what age in early years?
So I actually started working with the newborns to 2.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I did some of my training in a neonate ward, so young premature babies in a hospital. But also working with the children, what we call rising 5, so they're 4, nearly 5 years old, going into reception class.
Okay, wow. And so, what was one of your things? Because I know a lot about the Ofsted registration, how it works, and so when you was teaching, you said 4 to 5 year olds. What was something that you really wanted to instill in the children before they left? Was there anything you said, okay, I want to get this in, what was that?
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get it wrong. Don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid if you're at the top of that ladder. Don't be afraid to come back down and go back up again. Be willing to try everything at least once. And I think that a lot of the time, a lot of fear is instilled in us from a very young age, but we're not born with fear. We learn it. And I think it's about being instrumental in breaking some of those unhealthy things that have been passed on from our parents and our grandparents and so on. And so I wanted to be very much, and I still am very much with my students, I'm very much into instilling that thing of no fear. Do it afraid. That was something that I actually, when I hit 40, I actually said, I want to walk this out. I don't want to just encourage other people. I want to live it. I want to breathe it. I want to practice what I preach and teach.
So fear. How do you, for a 4 or 5 year old child, how do you instill that concept?
Because I think for a 4 and a 5-year-old, thankfully, and one would hope, there hasn't been that much
trauma.
fear,
Yeah. Okay.
you know, instilled in them. So it's hopefully much more easier to unlearn these habits. I don't want to. Why don't you want to? They don't know why they don't want to. They just don't want to. And it's not because they don't like it, because they haven't tried it. They've had no experience of it. It's like trying a new food. Oh, I don't like that. Why don't you like it? You've never tried it.
So your tactic would be to ask them questions as to why?
Totally.
Okay. All right. And, I mean, I love this topic because I have this is fear is something that, like I said, like as you grow older and you experience more, we battle fear so much more because we've been traumatized, we've gone through a lot. So how would one reverse that mindset of actually, because it's very easy to say don't be fearful.
Totally.
Don't be fearful.
Yeah.
How do you act? What were some of the practical things that you'll do, or maybe to help somebody out, to at least regain that confidence? What are some practical things someone can do?
I think one of the things is practical, but it's also a mindset. It's important to encourage other people to still accept that they are afraid. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. Where the problem lies is when you're afraid, but you don't do anything about it, and you sit in your fear for weeks, months, years, choosing to allow that fear to take a hold of you and almost make you become stagnant. That's the issue. But it's totally okay to be afraid and to step out and do it afraid. There's no, so one of the practical things would be to get somebody to ask themselves, why am I afraid? What do I think's going to happen? Because sometimes, a lot of the time, we don't talk about our fears. Because it's almost like it's this shaming thing. If I say it out loud, if I say that I'm afraid, I'm actually exposing myself, my vulnerabilities. It's okay to be vulnerable with the right people. That's really crucial.
So would you mind, I mean, you don't have to get too specific, but would you mind giving us an experience where you actually faced fear yourself and overcame it? I mean, if you don't mind, I don't want to.
Okay. I'll be honest with you, when I meet new groups of people that I have to speak to, I face fear every single time. A new group of students at the beginning of an academic year, a public speaking engagement where I have no idea how many people are going to be there. I face that fear every single time. However, one of the things that I tell myself is the information and the knowledge that I have, that's what those people who are there for. They are there to hear what I have to say. Nobody's there to laugh at me. Nobody's there to ridicule me. They need the information that I have. And that's what drives me. Because I also think if I wasn't good at what I do, I wouldn't be invited. I wouldn't be employed. So it's those positive thoughts and also a whole heap of prayer that keeps me focused and keeps me bold.
So are you spiritual or not religious?
I'm a born again Christian.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to get into because I'm very spiritual and like you said. So how has just knowing that there is a presence, so how has spirituality or religion helped you? I'll leave it like that.
Because I think in the past I entertained a lot of unhealthy thinking, unhealthy comparisons, always thinking I wasn't good enough, feelings of rejection, because you go through stuff and you just like in school even, and you kind of just allow certain unhealthy thinking to consume the way that you speak or the way that you think about yourself or how you think other people see you. And it's only until I really worked on myself that I was able to move forward. Because it's so easy, when you're accustomed to thinking unhealthily, it's so easy to go to that thought first. So that's why I was saying to you about unlearning those unhealthy thoughts or those unhealthy behaviors.
And how can, all right, so I'm gonna be a bit vulnerable here. I never really spoke about this, but like, so I hit a huge bump just recently. Somebody really fucked me over, man. Really did me dirty. And for a while, like I was really stunned. Like getting up in the morning was a huge problem for me.
Yeah.
I've never said this on camera. This is crazy. Huge problem for me. Like just getting, like some people have problems going to sleep. My problem was waking up.
Wow.
Like, it was like I didn't want to get out of bed. And for someone like me, who's, I don't know why that was really cool. I never said that, but like for me, just taking action was like the thing that really got me out of it. Like let me just go, just get up, stand up, go.
Yeah.
You know. So for someone who's in a point where they feel a bit vulnerable, they feel a bit weak, they feel like can't right now, what would be your advice to them in terms of what to do? I like practical advice. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
How do you avert that mindset?
I think it's really important who you associate yourself with.
Okay.
Your associations are key. If you have people around you who are always putting you down, who are speaking negatively of you, who don't encourage you to step out and go for your goals and your dreams, you're going to stay right where you are. Because my grandmother always used to say, by your companion you shall be known. And it's having the right voices around you that in turn encourage you to hear the right voices from your own mind. Not that you're mad, but your own voice. What is your own voice saying to you? And your own voice will lead you to the actions that you take. Now, if your own voice and the voices around you are not encouraging you to move forward, to leave the past behind, to you know, dust yourself off and get up and start again, you're not going to do it. So one of the main things is to really sanitize your associations. Sanitize them big time. You know, like when people say they're doing spring cleaning in the house and they get rid of things that are like not useful, not purposeful, that have expired. It's the same with your social circle and your associations.
I don't know. I just want to throw this out there for the channel. I mean, one thing that really helped me out was just YouTubing, like motivational videos. I mean, I had that in my head constantly, like just motivational topics. I kind of do want to shift gears here because because you are very multifaceted. So on your Instagram account, it says you're an adult leader. First off, how does one become adult leader?
Okay, right. One of the things that I was, I listen to quite a few webinars and podcasts, and go to events and listen to people who are, you know, experienced in their field, speaking on different topics. And one of the things that I learned was it's never a good idea to say that you're an expert, because when you say that you're an expert, it's almost like you're expected to know everything.
Okay.
However, as a thought leader, you are not saying that you know everything, but you are saying that you are encouraging people to have specific thoughts or specific thinking on a particular topic. So for me, it would be around skincare, because I find that, you know, just to give you a bit of spiel, I find that with skincare, everybody seems to talk about, or a lot of people seem to talk about what we put on the skin, but hardly anybody talks about what we put in the skin, as in our bodies. So I know that I'm one of the very few makeup artists that talk about, you know, the skin and the health of the skin before we put products on it.
Now, I was at the event that you spoke at, and you talked about different foods and allergies. So I kind of want to split this question in two. What are some of the good things, and what are some of the good foods that you can feed your body that will replenish the skin?
So, for example, foods that are high or rich in selenium, like shellfish and mushrooms. People are like, what? Selenium? What is that?
I don't know what that is.
But yeah, these are like the sub-nutrient, the micronutrient from a nutrient. So they're really good they have anti-aging properties. So rather than me run out and buy £100 of like product to put on my skin, I can fortify my skin from within by eating things like shellfish and mushrooms. Foods that are rich in vitamin A tend to be red, orange, yellow, like bell peppers, butternut squash, pumpkin. They're really rich in vitamin A, which is fantastic for skin cell renewal. So if you've been, for example, not sleeping as much as you should and your skin is not as plump and as moist as it could be, getting foods that are rich in vitamin A and also rich in water, i.e. cauliflower, which doesn't get a very good deal. People don't often talk very highly of cauliflower, but it's like 90% plus of water. So if you go on my Instagram page, for example, I'll put things up like that. Lettuce. Nobody really has anything great to say about lettuce. They just say, oh, it's good in a salad. But you don't hear anybody say anything else about lettuce. It's fantastic. Again, 90% plus water.
Wow.
You know, and all of these things is what people don't know. If you have a sluggish gut, that's not going to promote a great skin.
What's the sluggish gut?
So if you're eating foods and you're not using the bathroom daily, then your gut is sluggish. And you need foods that are going to restart that motor and re-energize and rejuvenate your stomach, your gut, and your bowel.
And then on the flip side, what are some bad foods that can, deteriorate or?
Okay, so foods that are high in sugar. Now, we do need some sugar, but preferably we need natural sugars. Sugar gets a dumb deal as well. However, there are good sugars and there are bad sugars. You'll hear a lot of fitness gurus talking about, sugars and the role of sugar. However, sugar, too much of it, can cause inflammation in the body. Cancers actually feed off of sugars. So that will tell you how much it causes inflammation in the body. It causes breakouts. It encourages acne flare-ups, eczema, psoriasis to flare up. So all of these types of inflammatory skin issues can be made worse by sugar.
So what do you say towards the people, and this is like mostly men, who's like, just wake up, they do sports, they hit balls with their face and everything, they put on helmets, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really take good care of my face. So so what is your advice to someone who's like, majority men, let's just go for the men here.
It's not always men. I don't want to be stereotypical.
I can't. It's my show, so I'm gonna say men. You guys, this is for the men right here, because I want to target to you. What would you say to us? Just if you were sitting in front of a panel of just men, what would you say to us?
What I would say to men is that what's really good for guys in particular is please don't use tweezers to pull out beard hair. I know that a lot of guys tend to use tweezers for ingrown hair, particularly men of color, because the hair grows out and then it grows back into the skin and causes ingrown hairs and shaving bumps. That's why you'll see guys with a lot of shaving bumps. What you have to do is let the beard grow out. It's not all men, but you have to let the beard grow out and have a proper clean shave, not with these razors that you buy in the high street or the supermarket. A proper clean shave that is going to take the hair off smoothly and cleanly. Also making sure that you're using products that are going to draw toxins out of the skin, because men don't like to bother with all the fuss. A lot of men, not all men. Some men actually have a better skincare regime than I do. Yeah? But products such as bentonite clay, which is amazing, a natural product for drawing out the toxins. So if, for example, you've had a great week of working out and you've not really taken the sweat off of your face properly, you might find your skin starts looking dull and pimply. Get some bentonite clay on there and just draw those toxins. Bentonite clay.
Bentonite clay. Yeah. And what about this this famous thing called how do you feel about cocoa butter?
The raw natural cocoa butter, not the manufactured one. So you've got some great oils out there that are raw, natural, and preferably organic. So you've got your coconut oil, you've got your shea butter, and you've got your cocoa butter, which are three good staples for facial oils. However, shea butter can be a bit too thick for some people, so it can actually cause them to break out.
So, just speaking with you, I don't want to speak too much because I don't want you to give out any free information. I rarely say this about people, but you really know your stuff. I can get the sense that you really know, what you're talking about. And what does that take? I know you said you're not an expert, but this goes along with being an adult leader. What does it actually take to be really good at your craft?
I'm not going to talk about fear again, but it starts with a belief.
Okay.
And also with a passion. I don't believe in doing anything if your heart and soul's not going to be in it. So when I teach, for example, I very rarely sit down.
Wow.
I'm jumping all over the room. The students half the time think I'm very crazy because I'll just drop into a role.
I'm sorry, what age group do you teach?
So it's 16 to 18 and 19 plus. So with the higher education, it will be 19 plus or 21 plus students. With the A-level students, it's 16 to, I do have a couple of 20, 21-year-old students in there. But I will drop into role and just start speaking in a particular way for them to visualize the theory that I'm teaching, for example. So it's about having a confidence. I don't believe in bluffing and blagging. If you don't know something, admit it. I don't know everything.
You asked me for my price.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you don't know, just say you don't know. There is no harm in not knowing something, and I think that it's it can almost be a bad thing not to know something, but I actually think it's refreshing to hear somebody say, do you know what, I don't know that, but I'm going to get back to you. And I have no problem saying that. I'd rather stay silent and be assumed to be a fool than talk and prove to be a fool. Simple as that. So it's about passion, confidence, self-belief, and just loving what you do, really.
What do you say towards the people who have this concept of don't do what you love?
I don't. Life is way too short. Life is way too short. Sometimes we have to make sacrifices and to make compromises. For example, I used to lecture full-time and I was also the head of department where I'm lecturing now. So for me to go back as a part-time lecturer of the department that I used to manage, some might say, how can you do that? Don't you feel embarrassed? No, because I'm tapping into what I know and what I love. I can't lecture full-time anymore because of this brand. So, sometimes you have to make compromises to do what you need to do. However, you need to set a deadline on it and be prepared to make those moves according to those deadlines.
All right, so one thing I want to talk to you about is before we came in, you was kind of lecturing me, about things that I can be doing to improve my brand. And you were saying that I should be doing
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So like, how have you tackled? What's your social media just kind of process, mindset?
Okay, sometimes I do things and I don't actually realize the impact of it until a really good friend of mine, she actually said to me, you've just got it, Laurie, you've got it. And I'm like, God, what? I don't know. Sometimes I just do it and I just think, oh wow, that's good, that worked, I'll do it again. However, I do realize that we live in a very nosy world where people like to know what's going on. They may never tell you that, they may never ask you what you're up to, they may never show their appreciation of what you're doing, but they are actually very curious about what's going on in the world of whoever. And I found that, behind the scenes, so for example, on a shoot or something like that, that my Insta stories, the viewings that I'd get on my Insta stories was going through the roof. And I was like, wow, people actually really want to know, that I'm shooting with this person or where I'm driving to, or they actually really want to know. So I decided that this BTS, this behind the scenes, there's more to this. So I decided that rather than just showing, what so many people do, the before and after of a model, but showing behind the scenes, the lead up to it, during and afterwards, what I could show, because if it's a magazine shoot, you can't really show much, but they really tapped into that, and I'd get the likes or just the viewings. People don't always have to comment, but the very fact that they took the time to stop and sit back and watch that video, to me,
and a lot of times you'll see some of these people in person who've never commented on anything,
Totally.
maybe even never liked anything, but
Totally.
they say, "Yo, I like what you're doing."
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. Yeah.
Totally. And that shouldn't make you think, well, you didn't like it. It's a confirmation as such that they're actually paying attention. and they've noticed.
So if you can give someone like a course, like me, my social media is like, I would say, what I post good stuff, all right? I'm just, I'm not as active. I'm not as active. Let's put it like that. Right? What would be your blueprint if someone wanted to say from 0 to 5K followers organically?
Okay.
What would be sort of your blueprint? And how long would it take?
Well, that I can't put a time on because it depends on what you're posting. It depends on the nature
Video
of
production.
Okay, video production. You've got to be consistent. And video production says to me straight away visual. So you've got to be visual. You've got to show different things. Even when you don't have anything of your own work to show something that's linked to something that inspires you. So stick a bit of inspo material on there. I always inspo, so inspirational stuff.
Okay.
So if somebody did a crazy bit of videography of somebody jumping from a bungee jump or something like that, and you just like the angles that they took. I mean, it's not my field, so
Okay.
then use that and then explain why you did that. Why did you use that piece? What was it about it that inspired you? What has it made you think about your own brand and where you want to take your brand next? Instagram or social media should not only be about, this is what I did today. It should be about encouraging other people to step out and do something that they want to do today.
And what about the person, particularly me or some other people, I consider myself as saying I use social media, but I don't really do it. I don't really consume it or do it. I kind of just post and get out. Well, what do you say to that person who's I have a brand. I actually work with a client right now. I'm saying the same thing you're telling me, I'm telling her, but I don't really do it myself. It's kind of bad. But kind of bad. Anyway, should never said that. But who doesn't want to be in front of the camera? Who doesn't want to be active? What do you say to a person who's they have a business, they have a brand, but they don't want to be in front of the camera?
That's totally okay. I know there's some makeup artists who only show makeup on their own face, whereas there's some makeup artists who only show makeup on the person that they've worked on. I don't tend to talk about makeup on my own face. I'll talk about the makeup I've done on someone else's face. However, if I'm doing clips of a talk, then obviously I need to show my face. Not showing your face is no problem whatsoever. However, I do find that your reach tends to increase when you show the face behind the brand, because people want to get to know the person behind the information.
Okay, understood.